The chamber was silent. Hundreds of alien eyes stared forward, watching the lone figure standing in the center. Some watched with curiosity, some with confusion. Most watched with fear. He was human. He wore no armor, carried no weapons. His clothes were simple, his face emotionless. But the moment he stepped into the hall, the room grew cold, not from temperature, but from memory. They remembered what humanity had suffered, and they remembered what they had allowed. The human said nothing for a long time. He just looked around. Slowly, at the grand chamber that once held the rulers of the galaxy, this place, the Galactic High Council Hall, had passed judgment on thousands of species. It had once declared Earth unfit for freedom. It was crumbling. The ceiling beams were cracked. Holograms flickered. No guards remained. The council chairs were broken or missing. And yet the remaining leaders of the galaxy sat there, pretending they still had power. The human finally spoke. His voice was calm, deep. It echoed across the stone walls. "You know who I am," he said. "You know why I'm here?" No one answered. Not yet. One alien, a thin insectoid creature with blue eyes, leaned forward. We did not expect anyone to survive. Earth was destroyed. We thought you thought wrong." The insect stopped speaking. The human walked forward, slow and steady. His footsteps echoed like thunder in an empty cave. "You enslaved my people. You used our planet. You studied our children like animals, and then you tried to erase us." One of the council members, a thick-skinned lizard creature named Provoke, growled. "It was not our decision alone." The vote was shared. The galactic code. The code? The human interrupted. He pulled a small metallic cube from his coat, with a press. It projected a hologram into the air. A young human girl. Dirty, crying. Her voice shaking as she spoke in broken galactic standard. "Please. We didn't fight. We only hid. Please don't take my brother. He's small. He's sick. He can't breathe without the mask." The hologram ended. The room was silent again. I found that recording under the ashes of New Cairo. The human said, "Do you remember New Cairo? You called it Sector for 3D. You turned it into a mining zone. You buried her alive." Another alien, a feathered avian leader, tried to stand. "We were following orders from the Central Fleet. We didn't know you knew." The human's voice was soft, but heavy like stone. He turned to face them all. "You all knew. The galaxy had once been ruled by the Galactic Union. Over 1,000 advanced species, all under one law, one council. They claimed peace. They claimed unity. But when Earth reached out to the stars, the Union saw something they didn't expect, something they feared. Humans were different, fast learners, strong-willed, emotionally unpredictable, dangerous. So they decided to control Earth. At first it was treaties, trade, technology exchange. Then came restrictions. Then the sanctions. Then the fleets. Within 20 years, Earth was no longer a member. It was a prison, and when the humans resisted, the real horrors began. Cities turned to ash, oceans poisoned, children taken, scientists harvested. Those who survived were sent to camps on distant moons, hidden from cameras, buried in files marked classified, non-sentient management. For 300 years, Earth was a ghost, and now one of its ghosts had returned. The human moved to the center of the room. He placed the cube on the floor. Light shot out in all directions, connecting two small nodes hidden in the rooms. Old structure. A new voice spoke female, strong and clear. "This is Commander Amara Blackstone of the Earth Judgment Council," the voice said. "To the remaining members of the Galactic Union, we offer no deals, no forgiveness, no surrender, only trials." Some aliens tried to leave. The doors sealed shut. "No one leaves," the human said. "Not until this is done." The cube showed images, holograms of destruction, camps, broken humans in chains, alien scientists taking notes. There was no escape from the truth now. You had centuries to speak. Now you will listen. He walked slowly, looking each alien in the eyes, Dravos of the Trelkin Empire. You voted to begin the orbital strike on Earth's hospitals, you said, and I quote, "Let the disease burn with them." Dravos, a short creature with glowing skin, trembled. "We thought humans carried a plague that killed millions. Your homeworld sun will now be sterilized. You will live but only in darkness." Dravos screamed, but the cube confirmed the command. An Earth ship had already acted. The Trelkin star was now under a solar shield permanent night next Yalith of the Skari flight. You intercepted Earth refugee ships, sold them to the Zentari as test subjects. You laughed as their skin peeled under radiation. Yalith stood, shaking. Please, I was young. I didn't understand. The human simply said, "Judgment. Exile. You will live alone, on a barren moon, where your wings cannot open. You will never touch the sky again." Each judgment was precise. No screams could stop them. No offers of trade, alliance, or apology made any difference. The galaxy was learning what it meant to be judged by humans, because humanity had learned something in the darkness. They had learned patience, they had learned silence, and they had learned that justice does not beg. It arrives like winter cold, unstoppable and fair. The human turned toward the final row. 12 aliens sat there. They had once been the most powerful beings in the galaxy. They were the original founders of the Galactic Union. Their words had shaped worlds. Their votes had destroyed nations. Now they could not meet his eyes. He walked up to them. "No more holograms, no more evidence. You ordered the end of Earth." They did not deny it. One of them, a tall creature with diamond-like skin, looked up. "You were dangerous. You grew too fast. You disobeyed the Union. And what are we now?" The human asked. No answer. He held up the cube. A new image appeared. The Earth alive. It was no longer burning. Skies were blue, cities rebuilt, oceans clean. But floating above Earth were ships. Thousands of them, human ships. Titan-class war cruisers, planet-scale defense arrays, ships with engines that bent space itself. "We survived," he said. "We advanced. We never forgot." The image changed again. This time, it showed dozens of alien worlds each, one marked. Each one had committed a crime against Earth. Each one would face judgment. The human took one final breath. "This council is over," he said. "Not seek revenge. We seek correction." He turned to the doors. "They will open now. Leave. Go home. Tell your people, humanity is awake, and we remember everything." The doors hissed open. No one moved. Some wept, doubt. Some simply stared, but the human was already walking away. Behind him, the cube's voice spoke one last time. "This was only the first session. More will follow. Those who aided Earth will be spared. Those who stayed silent may yet speak. Who laughed will burn." The stars outside the chamber were no longer silent. They echoed with a message the galaxy had not heard in centuries. "We are human. We are many. And we are coming." The Celery were once a peaceful race. They lived in oceans of sapphire and built floating cities in the clouds of their gas giant, Yerix. They wrote poetry, composed music from water vibrations, and claimed to be lovers of peace. But when Earth cried for help, the Solari stayed silent. And now, the ocean had brought something back. The trial was held on a Solari sky platform once used for festivals. Now, it was empty, watched only by planetary security forces, government leaders, and one human. He stood alone at the edge of the wide platform, the wind blowing gently through his long black coat. Around him, the Celery delegates floated nervously, in their water-filled suits, eyes wide, fins flickering in fear. This human had no army, no weapons, just one small black box. It's the same kind that was used in the council hall. He placed it on the glass floor. It hummed. The Celery Chancellor, a tall blue-green being with 6 delicate arms, floated forward. He bowed low, voice shaking. "Envoy of Earth, we greet you in peace." The human didn't move. "You did not greet us when Earth burned," he said. The Celery Chancellor hesitated. "We were not part of the attack. We did not fire a single weapon. We never even set foot on your planet." "That's true," the human replied. "But I didn't come for the ones who held the knife. I came for those who watched." The Solari glanced at each other, whispering in their liquid tongue. The human pressed the box. A hologram appeared. It showed Earth during the invasion, burning skies. Massive alien ships blotting out the sun. Orbital strikes reducing cities to rubble. Then it cut to a scene in space. 3 massive Solari ships stood near the Terran refugee convoy. Over 100 civilian ships tried to escape through a wormhole gate. The Solari ships blocked the path. A voice echoed across the stars. "We do not wish to be involved. Turn back. Your presence violates neutral space." The refugee ships begged, screamed. A few even tried to flee around the blockade. Then, without warning, the Solari ships turned and left. 10 minutes later, the Zentari hunter vessels arrived. All human ships were destroyed. The human paused the hologram. "Your people stopped us," and then walked away. The Chancellor lowered his eyes. "We were afraid. We thought if we helped you, the Union would punish us too." The human nodded slowly. "You were right. They would have." He stepped closer. "But you were not innocent. You helped them without blood on your hands. That's worse." Younger Solari, a female diplomat, swam forward in her suit. "We are sorry, truly, but our culture has never known war. We never imagined Earth would fall. We didn't vote for your enslavement." The human looked directly at her. "You did something worse. You voted neutral." She fell silent. The box beeped. Another voice played, a Solari senator from long ago. "Earth is not our concern. Let them solve their own problems. We shall not interfere." The human pointed to the hologram. "This is the voice of every coward who watches a child drown and refuses to throw a rope." The Solari were quiet now. The human turned and looked at the sky above them. Distant stars blinked like eyes. "Earth remembered you? Your silence, your votes, your fake peace." He lifted his arm. Small holographic interface blinked to life on his wrist. He spoke 2 words. "Begin correction." Across the Solari home system, something happened. Without a single explosion. Without fire. Without warning. The light changed. On Yarix, the sun dimmed. Satellites lost contact. Artificial clouds broke apart. Ocean power fields collapsed. The planet wasn't destroyed. It was turned off. Solari's world was now trapped under permanent storm. Their cities would survive. Their people would live. But their comfort, their beauty, their music all gone. The human looked at the Chancellor. "This is what your silence bought you." The Chancellor shook in horror. "But we didn't kill anyone." "I didn't either," the human said. "But you won't be singing in the skies again." He turned to leave. But the young Solari diplomat stopped him. "Wait. What? About those of us who spoke up?" "There were some who tried to help." The human paused. "You will be spared." He pressed the box. A list of Solari names appeared, those who had offered humans food, shelter, or warnings during the purge. They have already been transported to a new world. A gift from Earth. They will live in peace, because they remembered. Their conscience. He looked at the rest of them. "You didn't." Then he walked away. The platform remained silent. The winds howled, and the ocean below no longer sang. Far above, the Earth ship turned toward the stars. Another message was already being prepared. Another species would be next. The galaxy watched in silence. Humanity was not wiping them out. Humanity was doing something. Worse, it was making them feel what Earth had felt: abandoned, forgotten, powerless. And one by one, the verdicts would come, because this was not revenge. It was a lesson, and the humans were patient teachers. He sat alone, surrounded by empty halls. The throne room of the Rilthari Empire had once been one of the most beautiful in the galaxy. Made of glass-like stone, filled with glowing lights and music that echoed through air and liquid both, it had hosted kings, queens, and high admirals from across 100 stars. Now it was silent. The music had died. The lights were dim. And at the center of the wide chamber, on a tall black throne, saw Vorak the peacemaker. He was old now. His golden skin had faded. His sharp eyes, once full of charm and fire, were tired. He wore no crown, only a simple robe. Round him were no guards, no assistants, no followers. He had sent them all away. He knew who was coming. He had known for years. The doors opened, slowly, silently, and in stepped a single figure. A human. Vorak did not speak. He only lowered his head. The human stopped. At the base of the stairs leading to the throne, he looked up. "You remember me?" Vorak nodded. "I remember them all." The human didn't smile, didn't move. "You were Earth's first ambassador," the human said. "Came in peace. You spoke of friendship. You said Earth had a future in the stars. I meant it." Vorak whispered. The human's face turned to stone. "No, you didn't." The air grew colder. Vorak slowly stood, using a long cane made from polished wood. His hands shook. "I believed in you," he said. "I believed in your people. I believed Earth had potential. But I also saw the fear in the Council's eyes. They were afraid of how fast you were growing, of how strong your minds were, your emotions, your will." The human stared at him. "And so, you sold us." Vorak closed his eyes. "I warned your leaders. I begged them to slow down, to wait, but they didn't listen. And when the Council gave me a choice, betray Earth, or let my own people be punished, I made the wrong choice." The human stepped forward, just one step. "You gave them the defense codes," he said quietly. Vorak didn't deny it. "You opened the sky. You let them in. You gave them our coordinates. You let the fire fall." Soft beep echoed. The human's small black cube activated a hologram played. It showed Vorak, young and proud, standing before the Council. The humans are not ready. Their culture is wild. Their aggression is dangerous. I recommend immediate control. One can give you the access you need. The hologram ended. The throne room fell silent. Vorak's cane dropped, I thought. If I did it quickly, less of you would die. I thought I could save some. The human's voice turned colder. You didn't save anyone. Another beep. A second hologram. A young human woman. Blood on her face. Crawling through rubble. "Please. If anyone hears this, they betrayed us." Vorak said we'd be safe. He said the stars would protect us. But they came through the shields. They came through. The message cut off. The human didn't blink. "You were the reason she died." Vorak turned away. "I know. There's no courtroom, no jury, no council. Only this moment. And one man from a dead world." "I don't want forgiveness," Vorak whispered. "I came back to this place to wait for you. I always knew you'd return, and I knew you'd come for me." The human nodded. "You're not wrong." He raised his arm, but he didn't kill him. No weapon fired. No guards entered. Vorak looked up, confused. "You're not ending me." The human shook his head. "You don't deserve death." Vorak frowned. "Then what is my judgment?" The cube lit again. A new hologram appeared. A black planet, dark, lifeless, covered in acid rain and slow time radiation. "You will be exiled to this world," the human said. "You will not die. You will not be harmed. But time will move slower. There, 1 year to you. It'll be 100 for the rest of us." Vorak's mouth opened. "That's the human," interrupted him. "Mercy." Vorak swallowed hard. "I will go. You already are." Behind the human, the air shimmered. A portal opened blue, wide. And humming with low power, 2 human drones stepped through. Not machines of war, just simple escort units. Right. They moved silently toward Vorak. He didn't fight. He didn't cry. He stepped off the throne. He walked past the human. He paused at the door. "Do you still hate me?" the human answered without turning. "No?" Vorak blinked. "Then why send me away like this?" The human's voice was quiet. "Because you hate yourself. That's punishment enough." The drones led him into the portal. It vanished. The human stood alone now. He looked up at the empty throne. Long ago, Humanity had believed in it. Long ago they had trusted Vorak. And now, it was just stone. Another voice came from the cube. Judgment complete. Target relocated. Status, exile active. The human turned. His mission was not over, not yet. 1. Betrayal had been judged, but the galaxy was full of more, and Earth had not forgotten any of them. He walked toward the stars, leaving the broken throne behind. Outside, his ship hovered, cloaked in silence. He stepped aboard. The crew waited. Next target. One of them asked. The human nodded. Prepare for contact with the Draeger Dominion. The room fell silent. That name still made blood boil. The human looked out the window, toward the stars. They were the first to land on Earth. The first to burn our homes. The first to chant while we screamed. He turned to his officers. It's time they learn what those screams taught us. The skies above Draeger Prime were dark, not with clouds or storms, but with human ships. Thousands of them. They moved in silence. No weapons fired. No fleets clashed. No warning shots. Just a quiet formation of shadowed holes that blotted out the sun. The people of Draeger looked up and said nothing, because they knew why the humans were here. Inside the capital fortress, in the Hall of Honor, stood generals, warlords, and clan leaders of the Draeger Dominion. They wore ceremonial armor, some passed down through generations. Others wore battle scars, proudly marks from the wars they once fought against Earth. But no one smiled now. They stood in 2 long lines, waiting for the one who had brought the galaxy to its knees. The human walked in. He wore no armor, no royal clothing, just a long black coat and a simple expression. But his eyes, they were colder than any weapon. The lead general stepped forward. His name was Torga. First blade of the Draeger, champion of 9 systems. Was tall, with thick, red skin, tusks like daggers, and eyes that once glowed with pride. He dropped to one knee. The entire hall followed, a room of killers. Kneeling, the humans stopped at the center. Get up, he said. No one moved. I said, get up. Slowly they stood, but their eyes were lowered. The human looked around. I remember your voices, he said. Your songs, your chants. When you marched through our cities, you sang about blood, about conquest, about glory. Torga raised his head slightly. It was war. That is our way. The human stared at him. You called it war, but we called it slaughter. He pressed a button on the cube. A recording played. It was from Earth 200 years ago. A crowd of Draeger soldiers stood in the ruins of Paris. Fires burned in the background. Human bodies lay in the streets. The soldiers laughed. They chanted in their guttural tongue. One of them, Torga himself, stood on top of a human statue and raised a child's toy like a trophy. Another den of weakness falls. Roared. The recording ended. Torga looked ashamed. I was younger. He said, I believed in conquest. We all did. Do you still believe in it? The human asked. No. The human walked slowly around the hall. You weren't the ones who planned it. You didn't sit in council rooms and vote. You didn't study Earth like a lab rat. You didn't act from fear. He turned. You acted from pleasure. Some Draeger flinched. We mired you, one of them whispered. He was younger, barely an adult. The human looked at him. What did you say? The young Draeger stepped forward. He removed his helmet, revealing scars and burns. I was born after the first conquest. I was trained to hate your kind. But the more I studied you, the more I saw your strength. You fought back even when all odds were against you. You built cities under fire, buried your dead, and still stood tall. He paused. We didn't destroy you. We revealed you. The hall was still. The human nodded slowly. What's your name, Vec? The human turned to his cube and entered a command. Vec's name appeared on a list, one of many names of aliens who showed signs of honor, who resisted cruelty, or who later worked to help humans. You will live, the human said.
Oh.
You will guide the new generation. Vec bowed. The human turned to the others. But you, he said to Torga, you will not be spared. Torga didn't argue. I understand. Good, the human said. I'm not going to kill you. Torga looked up, surprised. The human smiled faintly, not with joy, but with the weight of judgment. You will live, and Bio will not. Outside, in orbit, the command was sent. Not a single Draeger was harmed. But every war monument, every tower of glory, every statue of conquest, every temple built from bones was destroyed. Precision strikes, explosives that left no blood. Only silence. The past was erased. Forever. Tor closed his eyes as the messages came through his earpiece. One by one, the old ways were crumbling. This is mercy, the human said. We let your people live. But they will grow in a world where they no longer worship death. He turned to leave. Torga called out, Will Earth ever forgive us? The human stopped. No. He looked back once. But maybe your children will learn better. Then he walked. Away, as he left the hall, Draeger stood in silence. No one shouted. No, I'm saying. The conquerors had broken, and the silence they left behind was louder than any war cry. The last 12 sat in silence, deep beneath the burned remains of the galactic capital. Inside a hidden chamber reinforced with old warstone and energy dampeners. The final council waited. They were once the most powerful minds in the galaxy. Each. One had ruled a sector. One had signed the order that doomed Earth. And now, one by one, they waited to learn their fate. There were no guards, no drones, no defense grids. They had already tried those. None had worked. He still came. The human. Entered quietly. No grand arrival. No army behind him. Just footsteps. Measured. Steady. Inevitable. He stood at the center of the long table, where so many decisions had once been made, where Earth had been labeled too dangerous to remain free. Now only dust and guilt remained. The human placed a small, clear box in the center of the table. Inside it was a crystal glowing faint red dot. No one dared speak at first. Finally, one counselor, the oldest of them all, leaned forward. She was from the Ilari, a race of thinkers with silver veins running beneath translucent skin. What is that? The human looked at the crystal, not them. A heart, he said softly. It belonged to a girl, 12 years old. She lived in the underground shelter of New Athens, Earth. When your fleets burned her city, she survived under rubble for 7 days. She died on the 8th. The crystal pulsed. No one moved. I found her message, the human continued. She recorded it with a broken cum unit, hoping someone would hear her. Pressed a button. A voice filled the room. Weak, fragile, I can't move. But I can still see light through the cracks. Maybe someone will find me if they do. Tell them I didn't cry. The message ended. The silence it left behind was not silence. It was crushing. Another counselor, a reptilian diplomat named Herrick, finally spoke. You cannot hold all of us responsible. We were misinformed. Military said your species was unstable, that you were a danger to yourselves. The human nodded, and you believed them. We had to protect the galaxy, Herrick said, louder now. If we had allowed you to rise unchecked, billions could have died. Your war's histories showed a pattern of chaos. You feared chaos? The human asked. Herrick hesitated. Yes, the human leaned forward slightly. We lived in chaos. We survived it. We were born from it. And you judged us for it. He stepped back. But I'm not here to argue. He tapped the box. Again, the lights dimmed. A hologram appeared, showing the exact moment the 12 had signed Earth's removal from protected species status. They had all been younger then, confident, smiling, certain. One counselor. A large aquatic being spoke in the recording. Earth is a fire that cannot be controlled. We must drown it before it spreads. The human paused the recording. He looked at the aquatic creature, still seated, still alive. You spoke those words? Do you remember? The creature nodded slowly. I do. The human walked to the edge of the table and looked around. I'm not here to destroy your people. Your homeworlds will be left untouched. Your species will continue. That surprised them. Some lifted their heads. One of them even whispered then, "You forgive us?" "No," the human said. "But we believe in punishment that fits the crime." He pressed another command. A timer appeared in the air. 12 minutes. The human looked at the 12. "You have 12 minutes. Each of you must. Choose one person among you who deserves to live." One. Eyes widened. One counselor laughed nervously. You're joking." The human said nothing. "Is this a trick?" Another shouted. "You'll kill whoever we choose, won't you?" Still no answer. The human simply walked toward the exit. "You have 12 minutes? Choose well." Then the door sealed behind him. Panic began. Words turned to shouting. Arguments broke out. Accusations flew. Old alliances shattered. "You always hated my people. You stole the vote that should have been mine. You ordered the second strike, not me." Fists hit the table. One counselor tried to escape through a hidden door. It was locked. Another begged the walls, screaming for help that wouldn't come. They were leaders of galaxies once. Now, they were animals in a cage of their own making, and the clock ticked on, minute by minute. The room turned from politics to desperation. One tried to sacrifice himself. No one listened. Another claimed innocence. No one believed. One simply sat in silence. Weeping at the 10th minute, violence began. The youngest among them, a thin insectoid diplomat, was stabbed with a neural pen. He gasped and fell, trying to speak. No one stopped it. They were not choosing a survivor. They were eliminating rivals. By the 12th minute, only 4 remained. They stared at each other, bloody. Shaking, the door opened. The human walked in again. He looked around. "I asked you to choose one." No one answered. He looked at the broken remains of what was once the most powerful council in the galaxy. "You couldn't do it," he said. "You couldn't show mercy. You couldn't show unity. You couldn't show even a fraction of what you demanded from Earth." He tapped the cube. The chamber locked again. "This will be your prison now," the human said. "No death. No execution. Just each other. Forever." A new time field activated. Inside the chamber, time would stretch endlessly. Outside, only hours would pass. Inside, it would feel like centuries. The human turned and walked away. The last council had fallen not by bombs, not by armies, but by the very thing they used to rule, their own fear, outside the buried chamber. The human stepped into the sunlight. It was warm. A ship waited in the sky. As he rose toward it, the sun lit the land below. And a new voice echoed across the galaxy, a message transmitted from Earth to the peoples of the stars. "Your leaders are judged. Your crimes are seen. Those who stood by while Earth was broken now face the same silence we once did." The last line, this was not revenge. This was a reminder. Never forget what happens when you turn away. The stars were quiet. Across the galaxy, ships floated in stillness. Civilizations paused. War fleets powered down. News grids and relay networks stood by, transmitting only one thing, a final message from Earth. It was not live. It was a recording. And yet it felt alive. It began not with sound, but with a silence so deep, felt heavy. Then came the image. A man stood in front of a scorched earth flag. It's not the flag of a nation. The flag of a planet, worn, tattered, but still flying. Behind him, the ruined skyline of old cities stood half rebuilt. Not perfect, but rising. He didn't wear a uniform, just a simple jacket, old, burned at the shoulder, stained by time. He looked into the lens, and he began to speak. "We were never supposed to survive," he said. His voice was calm, strong. "Your armadas came. You burned our homes. You shattered our skies. You dropped fire on cities that had no weapons." He paused, and yet we are still here. Images flashed behind him. Children planting trees in ash-covered fields. Engineers welding broken Ships back to life. Doctors tending to alien refugees who had once fled their own leader's betrayal. You said we were dangerous, the man continued. You said we would bring war. That we would tear the galaxy apart. More images. A fleet of human ships, each carrying aid supplies, entering the space of a wounded planet, a planet that had once helped bomb. Earth, humans weren't there for revenge. They were rebuilding what others had abandoned. You tried to chain us. You tried to erase us. But you didn't understand who we were. The man stepped forward slightly. You feared what you didn't know. You attacked what you didn't control. Another pause. And then his eyes met the camera again, as if he was speaking directly to every soul in the galaxy. We are not your enemy. His voice softened. We were broken, but we rose. We were hated, but we remembered how to love. We were alone, but we found each other. The camera slowly zoomed out, showing the Earth behind him. It was still scarred, still healing, but alive. Our vengeance is done, the man said. At that moment, thousands of humans across different worlds pressed a single command. All war fleets, powered down. Titan-class dreadnoughts, now legends across the stars, entered sleep mode. Orbiting defense arrays turned off their targeting systems. Humanity stood down. The galaxy watched in disbelief. They expected more destruction. They expected retaliation instead. They saw peace. But the man wasn't done. Those who destroyed us, they've answered for their crimes, not with death, but with time, with silence, with a mirror of the same fear they gave us. The camera now showed the chamber of the final council, still sealed, still untouched. No one inside had spoken for weeks. It barely even moved now. They will be remembered, he said, not for power, but for their silence when it mattered most. Then the screen returned to him. He looked tired but peaceful. Humanity has one last message. He reached down and pressed a small device. Suddenly, across the stars, every language system translated the same. 3 lines, in writing, in sound, in code, in whispers through quantum bands. This was not just a message. This was a warning, a lesson, a truth, and it said, "We are not your monsters. But if you ever return to chain us again, we will not warn you twice." And then the broadcast ended, but its echo did not. On trading worlds, buyers stopped arguing. On military outposts, generals stepped away from war tables. On distant moons, children looked up at the stars and whispered Earth's name with awe. Humanity was no longer a mystery. They were something more terrifying and more noble. They were survivors, and survivors don't forget.